Welcome back to another travel. That was a weird start. Welcome back to another Travel Snacks Q&A where I answer your questions that I don't get to in the comments section. So if there's questions that you have that I haven't gotten to, drop it in the comments of this video or any other video and you might be featured on the next Q&A, which I usually do once a month. And the Q&As can be any kind of questions, but usually they relate to traveling, van life, being a nomad, and all the things that maybe is like not a traditional lifestyle, but it could be about a traditional lifestyle too. I'm not opposed to answering all kinds of questions. So let's jump right into it. This question comes from Laura J. Phillips. Could it be a pinched nerve? That's very painful. I feel so bad for you. This is a question that I got from one of my live streams that I talked about, that I got my medical test results back. I've been having all kinds of back pain, rib pain, shoulder blade pain, and the snack pack is so awesome that everyone was trying to be a little mini doctor and diagnose me, which is fine because everyone has lots of experiences and it's kind of good to hear different thoughts about what it could be. But at the same time, it got to be too much to where I was starting to like internalize all those diagnoses, and I'm like, I hope I don't have all the things. But come to find out, I have 2 fractured ribs that I don't know how I got, but that's why I've been having so much pain. They're still going to be doing a bunch of other tests, including an MRI and some other things. But for now, it still could be a pinched nerve elsewhere in my back, but they did, off of the x-rays, see I had 2 fractured ribs. Monica Michaelis, IW3TO, where did they get the plastic container? This is a video that I did a long time ago when I lived in my car, and it's about how to pee in your car, basically at nighttime. And I, back then, used like this accordion type container. It was pretty handy. So I'll leave the link for that container in the description. It was like less than $10 and it came in handy. There's other things that you can use, big jugs and stuff like that, but that worked well for a while for me. Random things and stuff, 9285. Can you do one on how to keep cool in the summer? This is a comment from a video on how to stay warm living in a car in the winter. It could also be for a van as well. I might do one about staying cool in the summer, but most likely I won't, because I'm going to tell you that I won't be staying in my van in the summer for another year, because the last 2 years in my van was super upsetting. It was so hot and sweaty. I could never really cool down. I ended up getting the Zero Breeze air conditioner, which will not cool down the whole van. It will just cool down you as a person. You just point the vent to you and it'll cool you down. It's almost like standing in front of a freezer. It's fine. And on a very extreme hot day, it really comes in handy. But again, it's still not going to be enough to cool down and make you feel like super cozy and cool down in your van. I've tried so many different things. Now, I'd say the top thing that I would do differently is I would get to a higher elevation and I would stay there for the whole summer. I would find somewhere that's cool, maybe around in the mountains, but that has good internet connection, and I would just post up, because trying to travel around during the summer in a van or a car without a proper AC, to me was so miserable. Even though I have insulation, I have tinted windows that kind of blocks out some of the sun. I have window coverings. I have a window cover for my windshield. There's things that brought the temperature down, but never enough to where I was super comfortable. So I've just decided I don't want to do that again. So I won't be doing that again. So those are my tips for staying cool, I guess, a little bit. If you have a bigger power system in your vehicle where you can run a better air conditioner, get one. It'll be worth the money, because then you'll be able to go different places. Or if you have a plug for shore power, then go stay at some campgrounds. Spend the extra money. It'll be worth it for you. But for me, it just wasn't. And I have just decided against being in my van. So that's my take on trying to stay cool in the summer. And similarly, from Yvonne Hurry 4616, do you use an AC? And as I just mentioned, I do use a Zero Breeze AC in the summer. I've taken it out of my van for now because it's been winter time and I didn't need it, and it takes up a little bit of room. But I used it for one summer and it was fine, but it just is not going to be enough, because it does take a lot of power, and you can only run it for a couple hours a day before you start to drain everything else in the van. So I do have an AC, but for me, I just don't think it's going to be enough. Sweetheart 6722, wow, can I have the last 26 minutes of my life back? Honestly, you don't sound like such a sweetheart, to be honest. I mean, nobody can turn back the hands of time. But I'm certain that there was something in my video that you could have taken something from, but instead you chose to complain about it. That's the nature of watching stuff on the internet or TV. You win some, you lose some. If it wasn't for you, feel free to not watch again. I don't know. The funny thing to me is that you took the time to actually type that out. You could have saved a minute or two more of your lifetime by just not commenting and just moving on to another video. You also didn't have to watch the whole 28 minutes. There's nothing compelling you or stopping you from moving on. My clever handle, which is kind of a clever handle. There's a van movement, maybe only on YouTube. I don't know. What do you guys think? I would say that there is a van movement. I'd say it spreads further than YouTube. If you go on any social media, you're going to see a bunch of people living in vans, vehicles, cars, and all those things. There's different websites dedicated to van life, clubs dedicated to van life, merchandise for van life. Maybe movement isn't the right word. I don't know, but to me, there's causes that are coming out about van life, movies about van life. Maybe I'm wrong in my choice of words in that little short clip that I made for less than 1 minute. But what do you think? Is van life a movement or not? What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments below. Van life nomad firekeeper. How much battery do you have? And there's a longer question or longer message, but I have a 200 amp hour lithium battery. I started out with a 200 amp hour AGM battery. I always get it mixed up with AMG and AGM. I think AMG is like a Porsche or a car of some sort, but I don't know. But anyways, I had a 200 amp hour AGM battery at first, and it was fine. But then I wanted to get that Zero Breeze air conditioner, so I thought I would need more battery power. So then I got a 300 amp hour lithium battery, and that worked great. But it didn't have a self-heating option, so when it got freezing or cold, whenever I was in certain colder areas, I was worried that the battery was going to get destroyed if it froze up. So then I exchanged it for a 200 amp hour lithium battery, and it's been working great and fine. So it runs all my things. I don't ever have any problems with it, and I actually really love it. And I got it from a company called Lead Time. They used to be called Amper Time, and they're a great company to work with. So I'll leave the link in the description below because they're really nice and wonderful to work with. Valerie Hancock, Galen 4790. There's another organization that has parking lot in San Diego. You have to leave by 8 a.m. What if it's your day off, or you're sick, or your car needs repair? Ridiculous. All right, so this little short video that I made was talking about, so in San Diego, it's illegal to habitate in a vehicle. So if they catch you sleeping in a vehicle, you'll get a ticket. It's a real bummer for those that are truly living in a vehicle out of necessity. Like they're not doing this as like a road trip, van life experience. It's a problem. So in San Diego, there are 2, maybe 3 parking programs run by organizations that help people to have a safe place to park. But it's not for people that are just like living the van life dream or whatever. It's for people that truly don't have any other options. And I heard that there's wait lists and there's definitely rules. The parking lot programs exist to help people to get out of those situations. So it's not just like, here's a place to park, free and clear, do whatever you want. It's basically an organization coming together to help people to get out of living in vehicles and get them either jobs or apartments or whatever. I don't know. I've never really researched it too much. So I can understand why they would have limits in terms of why you'd have to leave at a certain time. Because if you have people just hanging around the parking lots, it's more like a camping situation. And I think they try to rotate so where people, like more people have the option to park there. And if it's the same, say, I'm just making this up, I don't know. Say if it's 20 spots available and the same 20 people just stay there, then there's no opportunity for other people that have been waiting to get in there as well. I do understand your point though, because if you're parked there and you got to leave by 8, but your car's not running, you're sick or whatever, I think they would probably make exceptions for that, or they might help you to figure out a way to get your vehicle fixed. All in all, I think for the most part, I think it is wise to have people come and go so that they can not just get adapted to this parking lot, like living in that same spot all the time. So I see it both ways. I will arrest you. Oh no, please don't. Do you have a little porta potty in your van? If not, what do you do? By the way, love your videos. Hope you have an awesome day. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Actually, I do have a little porta potty, I guess you would call it. It's a little toilet that my dad and I built out of wood and just bought a toilet seat from Walmart. And basically the lid lifts up and there's a little trash can bucket in the back for number 2s. And there's a little juice jug in the front for number 1. And then I have a canning funnel to funnel it down in there. I made a whole video about it, so you can go check it out. So that's what I do. And then I just can probably go number 1, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times. And then I got to empty that jug. And then in terms of number 2s, I just bag it up each time and take it to a dumpster away from like other people in stores and stuff like that, so it's not like super smelly in public areas. So that's what I do. Stacy Bamsh 2810, out of all your videos, I think this was my favorite and I almost skipped it. Glad I didn't totally agree about these extremists. My philosophy, do what you want as long as you aren't hurting anyone else. Did you say cult member? My nosy butt would love a video on that. Who knows, maybe it'll help somebody. Yes, I was in a cult for almost 10 years, a church cult. It was a very interesting time. It was back when I was in my 20s. Let's see, 20s to early 30s. And I don't have a problem sharing that story, and I probably will, but I would probably share it for my membership, my Super Snacker members, just because it is a little bit more of a personal story. And who knows? I don't know when I would do that, but maybe when we hit a certain number of Super Snacker memberships, Munch Bunch members. If you'd like to become part of that, you can hit the join button under this video or any video. Again, it's never necessary or required, but I just like to offer it as an option. But yes, I was part of a church cult. It was a weird experience. I learned a lot from it, good and bad. And I don't want to say I don't regret it, like I do and I don't. But it was just part of my life, so I just took the good from it and learned from the bad. T. Smith, 05081982. Do you ever stay at campground sites? I personally hardly ever do, because I don't like to pay for parking or overnight parking. I think I've only done it a couple times, just in the top of my head. One of the times I know for sure is when I stayed at, what's it called? I could be totally wrong, but I think it's called Jackson Lake Island. It's the one that has all the goats on it. It has a movie set on it from the movie Big Fish. And I stayed there a couple nights. It was a paid campground situation. It didn't have hookups, at least the part where I stayed at. It's just you just pay to go in and park pretty much anywhere by the lake, and you could see all the goats and the movie set and all these things. It was super awesome. I would do that again just because it was more of an experience. But in terms of regular campgrounds, I probably wouldn't do that because number 1, I don't have a plug for shore power, so it's kind of not worth it for me. Number 2, I just don't feel like spending. It's gotten super costly for a lot of campgrounds, like $40, $50 plus a night. So I probably don't do that. If I had a plug for shore power, then maybe I would do that. The other thing is, like, sometimes you could probably pull into a campground and see if you could park there overnight, and then you could get showers and refill your water and stuff like that. So you don't really need to go there just to plug in for power, but you can use it for other things. So I'm not against it. I just think for me, I don't really feel like I would want to do that. And the last question is from a little short video that I did when somebody asked me if I'm going to get a pet. And the question is from Greg3070. What if your pet is a hamster? Do you take him for a walk? You know what's funny about this question is there's been a couple times where I was like, I'm certainly not going to get a dog or a cat because my van gets too hot and sometimes too cold. just me as a human being, I have a hard time regulating my temperature in this van. So I would not put a pet through that. But I have thought, like, what kind of pet could I get in here just for like a little company? You know, I'm not going to get a fish because if it gets too hot, that water's probably going to boil. I'm just making that up. That's not really true. But I don't want that fish to be fish fillets. And I was like, could I get a little hamster? But again, too hot. That hamster's going to probably explode because it got too hot in here. But, okay, some of you are going to get grossed out. Okay, I'm sorry. But I've actually thought of getting a tarantula because tarantulas can handle the high heat. Now, I did a little research on it, and I'm no expert by any means, but I'm pretty sure that all tarantulas have venom, but like it's not poisonous to the point where if they bite you that you're going to die. So I don't know. And the reason I say a tarantula is because I was raised in the desert, so I'm not afraid of tarantulas. But if you are not arachnophobic or whatever, if you don't mind spiders and whatnot, look it up because there's, I think they're called cobalt tarantulas. They're bright blue. Their legs are bright blue. They look so awesome. And they even have purple ones. They look so pretty. And I know some of you are like, what the heck? Allison is lost her mind. But just know that I'm really not going to get a tarantula. I won't be getting any pets because, again, even if I got a pet and they can handle the temperature in here, I like to get up and go here and there just whenever I want to. So I don't want to have to think about what I'm going to do with this pet. Let's just say that I travel internationally or go do something or whatever. I can't see really anybody that would want to watch my tarantula while I'm traveling to another country. So I won't be getting any of those things. But if you do have a hamster and you have a little tiny baby leash, I don't see anything wrong with walking your hamster as long as it's not around other people and that hamster doesn't get squished. All right, so that's going to be it for today's Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.